Hi, Photoshop class. I'm here today to walk you through on preparing and submitting your Project 3 movie poster. So if I kind of work through these bulleted items that you have here on submitting this movie poster, you'll see the date listed that it's due. You should have participated in a critique the class period before or a couple days before where you proofread to make sure there's no spelling or grammar errors. If you've made changes since then, you can still spell check through Photoshop. So if you're not sure where the spell check is, if you go to the help window and type spelling, make sure you spell that word right. It'll show you where check spelling is. So it's under your edit menu. So you can go edit, check spelling, and let that run through. And so it's going to highlight different words. If you have spelling errors, there's a good chance they're going to be down in those movie credits area. And so you can kind of work through and make sure that these words are spelled correctly. And if they are, you can hit ignore to move on to the next one. And if they're incorrect, you're going to want to fix those. When your file is good to go, you will submit a working PSD file. I need that so I can grade that it's the correct size, the correct color mode, appropriate resolution, that you use the grid, that you organized your Photoshop layers, right? I can't give you these points without the working Photoshop file. So if you don't give me that file, you will not get all of those points. You're going to be between a 0 and 1 on those points because I don't know. So to give me the Photoshop file, you might run into issues in Schoology uploading it to the assignment tab because your file size might be too big. On a Mac, if you look at the file, so this is a movie poster a student created. If you were to look at the movie, the file of where it's saved, it'll give you the file size here. So this movie poster file size is about half a gigabyte. That's huge. It is not probably going to upload to Schoology. You're going to get an error. So we have to upload this a different way. I mean, you can try to minimize that file size by cleaning up your layers, deleting things you don't need, but more than likely it's still going to be too large. So that's why I have where you're going to use something called WeTransfer. It's a great piece of software because we often run into issues in the industry where we have to submit a file or get a file to a vendor or something and it's too large to send over an email. And so WeTransfer is a great solution. So if you were to click on that link to WeTransfer, that's going to end up opening in a new tab. It doesn't cost any money. It is free. And then under here, you're going to hit I agree in those terms. And then you're going to just add your files and send that off. So I'll kind of just show you how easy that is. I can drag and drop my file over here. It gives you about a 3 GB limit on sending files. So I doubt anyone's movie poster is that large. So, but if it is, we got bigger problems. I'll put the email address of who you're sending it to. So you're going to send that to my work email, which is kanderson@swtc.edu. You'll put your email that you're sending from. I'll just use my personal email here. It'll put in the title there. You don't have to give me a message. I'll know what this is. And then this tells you how many days that you have or I have to download this before the link expires. So leave it at 3 days just in case I don't get time to it within the very first 24 hours. You're giving me 3 days. And then that's it. You're going to go ahead and hit transfer. You'll confirm your email. So I'll go back to my Anderson4MK email and I should get a verification code that I will lump into here. And then I'll verify and send, and that'll send me a little progress bar of how that's going before it sends. And then you will get an email too saying it's been sent, and you should get another email saying I downloaded it. Then you know I have it. So that's how you're going to send me that file. So when you are ready, you're going to go ahead and do that here by the due date. And yes, you can see those instructions I have there. Then here to the Schoology assignment, you will submit a PDF of your file, and this PDF is going to be prepared for our printer, our Roland printer. I am going to print your movie posters to actual size, and we will display them on our wall. I'll try and get a photo or a little video that I can share with you when those get displayed. I'll probably hang them with all the other in-person students who are going to be hanging their movie posters as well. So let's work through on creating and preparing that PDF file because there's some very specific tasks that I need with that to get it to print to our Roland printer. Our Roland printer is a very large format printer and it will print and cut. So we need a very specific line on there to get it to cut. So what we're going to do is with your finished file, and I'm going to do this with this finished Photoshop file, you're actually going to open this up in Illustrator. Um, I know some of you are in Illustrator, and that's perfect. I know some of you are not. So if you do not have access to Adobe Illustrator, let me know. Um, Maybe I'll show it both ways just in case. I think it's easier in Illustrator. That's why I'm going to do it there, but I'll also show you how you can do this in Photoshop. Let's do Illustrator first. So I'm going to drag and drop my Photoshop file into Illustrator and open it there. I'll get a little like import thing saying, hey, flatten layers to a single image. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to get flattened here in Illustrator as a single image. And I need to put on what we call a die line that's going to tell the printer where to cut because we got to cut out that bleed we've talked about. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool and I'm just going to click and then Illustrator is going to say, hey, what size do you want to make this rectangle? And I want it to be the size of my movie poster. And we said they were going to be 27 inches wide by 40 inches tall. And that's going to get converted there. I will then take my die line here and I'm going to use my align tools at the very top to tell it to center and center. And if they're not centering to your canvas, you might have to hit this little align to and tell it to center to your artboard. Now I don't want to fill on this, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off my fill and I'll also turn off my stroke for a moment. So what I really need this to do is be the stroke for our printer, and that's actually in your Southwest Tech logos and icons library, the same library that you used for your billboard. So if any of you had trouble accessing that library and you never could, this will be a problem. So we have to get that resolved first. So if that's you and you do not have access to this library, you have to message me today, like right away, letting me know we need to get on Zoom and we need to get that resolved because there's a reason why you don't have access and you should have access. And it probably has something to do with your sign in. You can try sign out right here, and then sign back in. That has helped a lot of students. When you then sign in, there is a window that comes up once you put in Southwest Tech's email or the username or something. It says, do you want to use a personal account or a business account, business or school account? And you have to make sure you're choosing the business or school. So some people are accidentally choosing the personal, and that's what's going on. Even though they're signed in under the correct email, it's just that one extra step, they clicked personal when they signed in that last step. So if that's happening to you, maybe try signing out, sign back in, use your Southwest Tech email, and in that very next window, make sure you're choosing the business account. Another place to make sure is in your Adobe Creative Cloud. So I've had students also then check that. And when they go to their Adobe Creative Cloud, it's not the right profile picture. So maybe you have to sign out and sign back in here as well. Okay, because you need access to that library. So if you are in your libraries panel, you need to go into you might have to back out. Maybe you saw how I backed out here. I don't know what library you're in right now, but you might have to back out. And you're going to go into Southwest Tech logos and icons, and it's down here at the bottom. And you're going to click on the cut contour. And that should then load as your stroke color if you were clicked on it. If you weren't clicked on it and you were accidentally clicked on the fill color and that went to the fill, just swap those. It should be no fill, that magenta color stroke, and your stroke should be 1 point. That's it. You might be like, not thick enough. I want to see it. Nope, don't. Or the printer won't cut if you change that. It's got to just be 1 point. If you zoom in, you'll see that little pink line. That's what the printer needs. That pink line will not print. That pink line will just tell the printer where to cut, and that's that. It can't cut it without it. So you'll see the parts of the image that I'll lose, little pieces down here, which that's a-okay. From here, I'm going to go File, Save As. I will save this out as a PDF file. I'm going to go ahead and just add a year to this. In this next window, just leave this set to Illustrator default. Just don't change anything here. Just double checking something with that. Yep. And save PDF. And that's it. That PDF file is the one you're going to upload here, here to Schoology. And that will fulfill this bullet point here. If you don't have access to Illustrator and you need to do this in Photoshop, you can do this the exact same way. You're going to, in your file, use your rectangle tool. It's just a little trickier getting maybe your fills and your strokes there. So that stroke color is going to be, I'm going to go grab my library here. Window Libraries. Grab my Roland printer stroke color. See, it loads here. I need to get that up to my stroke. So now that I loaded it, it should show up on my recently used. And now I can just click, make my rectangle. This is 27 inches by 40 inches from center, but it's not centered. So I'm going to use my align tools, make sure it's aligning to canvas, and I'm going to go center and center. And I should again have, if I zoom in, a nice pink stroke here that you can't see because I think it's on my other guideline. There it is. I got to zoom in real close for you to see that one because it's hidden behind another guideline. And now the same thing. I will go File, Save As. And I will choose Photoshop PDF. So either way, that'll get you your PDF file that you need to have this printed. All right, let's look at the last bullet point here in the assignment. So then also here to Schoology, you're going to provide me a mock-up, just like you have with some of your other projects. Mock-up just gives me this nice finished file that's presentable. I did provide a mock-up template at the bottom from Adobe Stock. Notice that these template files end with a T. That's PSDT. That's what the T means. It's a template file. You can use this one. You can download and use this one, or you're welcome to go get your own from Adobe Stock. So if you use this one, you'll click to download that. That'll head to your downloads folder. Go ahead and open that up in Photoshop. And here's a template. So your design will go here. Yeah. So if I'm going to grab my movie poster to bring over, in the mock-up, don't bring that magenta line. We don't need to see that in the mock-up. It's not part of the finished product. So that's just for printing. So I'm going to actually flatten this image. So that way I can bring over one layer. And I will grab my one layer now and bring this over here into my mock-up. It's going to be very large. And now I could scale this down to fit into my mock-up. Now the proportions may not be exactly the same. So this is where you just got to do your best to get that to fit. You might skew this a tiny bit to get that to fit over it. And then if you want, you can create a clipping mask that clips so you don't see anything extra over the edges. Not sure why. Probably turn that layer off. Maybe I won't clip that to that layer. Let's clip that to this layer and hide that. Oh, that's the shadow. Yes. So put this right above the that area goes here, and I can create that clipping mask. So this might be one that you might have to skew it a little bit. Like I'm just squishing this to fit in here a little bit more because I don't maybe want to lose some of these aspects. You don't want your text to look like it gets cut off. And there we go. I now have a mock-up file of my movie poster that I also can provide in Schoology. When you are finished, make sure you don't override your working file. You don't want to lose all those layers you work so hard for. That's often where students make mistakes. They save this flattened file. If you're going to do that, make sure you go File, Save As, and call it flat. You don't want to do that. Otherwise, just you're going to close this out and don't save. That way, if you open that file back up again, you have not lost all your wonderful layers that you created to modify this. And then those two files will get submitted here to Schoology. So the PDF file, the mockup, here to Schoology, your working PSD file, the one you didn't flatten, you'll use WeTransfer. If you need any help on that, let me know. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today.